So Dara, we're in Vegas for CES. We're on day 3. What have been your learnings and insights from CES so far?
I think it's been interesting to see that there's a lot of emphasis not just on new products, but on how the products are designed and made. There's been a lot of focus on that, whether it's around the AI technology that's being used to develop the products, or it's around how the products are more sustainable, or it's around how the products are going to address or solve problems in a different way, or the materials that were used to make the products. And I think this is reflective of the fact that customers care a lot. Mm-hmm. Customers now care a lot about how things are designed and made. And there's just a lot more storytelling, activation around the design and make process than I would say there has been in previous years. So that's been a kind of interesting insight for me.
Yeah, I went down to the floor, and what's really interesting, I mean, you think of Autodesk, it's make anything, yes. Right? Like it's a CES, it's an event that's made for Autodesk in a lot of ways. But one of the questions that I had for you was around Autodesk's POV around innovation and design, especially at CES, where a lot of different brands are talking about it. Autodesk being the make anything company. Love to get your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Our software is used to design and make anything, right? Whether it's buildings we live and work in, or entertain ourselves in, like the Sphere here in Vegas, or products we use and love, or movies and games that entertain us. And I think one of the things that's important is innovation doesn't happen in isolation. Right? Innovation is not reduced to only one aspect of the life cycle, but it's everything from the ideation to the brainstorming, the design, the manufacturing, the operation. And so we think about how to empower our customers to solve their toughest problems across the entire life cycle. And I think that's one of the things that really differentiates us, is helping to reduce the friction and make it easier for customers regardless of where they are in the process.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, especially the role of AI in terms of the customer journey. But even internally at Autodesk, I'm really compelled to understand how you're utilizing AI across your marketing teams as a leader in a day-to-day way.
Well, I'm really proud of my team. I kind of challenged them. I said, hey, I want us to be 100% AI proficient, and we are on our way. We are almost there. And what this essentially means is every single marketer at Autodesk has built AI into their workflow, right? Every single marketer is learning how to improve productivity, improve the quality of the work, make sure that they're analyzing and utilizing data in a very useful way. Where humans now have more time to be creative, more time to be strategic, more time to drive real outcomes and results. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing.
You're seeing good adoption, you're seeing good
great adoption, and a lot of learning. I feel like we've moved from the experimentation phase to having a lot more accountability. How are we using AI to drive real results, real outcomes? And so I'm super proud of the team. I won't say that we haven't arrived yet, okay? But we have made significant progress, and we've moved from just kind of talking about it and thinking about it to starting to put it into real practice.
Yeah, and you've got conviction in your leadership that AI is going to help the marketing organization and Autodesk at large. I want to talk about your leadership for a little bit and your leadership philosophy. You grew up in Nigeria, and from Nigeria, with a lot of ambition, went on to lead a lot of global brands, globally recognized brands, and now the CMO of Autodesk. I love understanding how early experiences form the leader that you are today. Are there any experiences from your past, from growing up, that really resonate today still in how you show up as a leader?
Absolutely. I was one of those kids that, how they say kids should be seen and not heard. I was heard a lot. I was one of those kids. Yeah. And my mom used to tell me all the time, ambition with contentment, ambition with contentment. And growing up as a kid, I didn't really understand what that meant, but now I know exactly what it means. And it's been my North Star for a really long time. It kind of guides and shapes who I am and how I show up. And essentially, the guiding force or principle behind this is leading in service of others. So it's not just blind ambition. It's not ambition for me, but it's ambition for us. Ambition for my team, ambition for my company, ambition for our customers, ambition for the world. And also making sure that is grounded in contentment. And it means that every decision that I'm making about people, I'm thinking about who's not in the room that's going to be impacted, and how can I make sure that perspective is brought in. So that grounded ambition, that ambition that's rooted in contentment, is something that continues to guide me today.
Do you feel that groundedness, that rooted in contentment piece, like, is that part of you today, or does it wane sometimes and you have to reel it back in?
It is part of me, but I'll say it's a constant journey, right? Sometimes I have to make sure that I'm constantly asking myself, hey, am I making sure that this is ambition in service of impact?
Yeah.
And I ask myself that question all the time, making sure that I'm not, just focused on what I'm trying to accomplish, but that I'm focused on the greater good, right? Yeah. The collective impact, and that I never lose sight of contentment. Because I think so much of what we do, we can be so focused on the destination that we miss out on the journey. We miss out on enjoying the experiences on the way to getting there. And I want to make sure that I don't just wake up and I've arrived and I'm like, wait, how did I get there? What happened?
Yeah.
But that I have that contentment along the way.
You mentioned the collective there. And one of the interesting things about your career is, if you take a look at all of your experiences, there's been a lot of evolution that you need to navigate, a lot of changes. I mean, think about Peloton during the pandemic. As you now need to impart being able to be resilient to your teams through changes. I mean, think about AI and how things change every week. How are you able to do that while at the same time stay grounded yourself?
So it's interesting because I think that, we talk a lot about people not liking change. I think it's less that people don't like change. It's more that people are always worried that change is going to make things worse. Yeah. And I have to give Frances Fry, she's a Harvard Business School professor, so much credit for this because she talks a lot about it. And so when I'm in an environment where there's constant change, just like we're going through now with AI, I'm constantly making sure that I'm thinking to myself, it's not that my team is worried about change, but they're worried about how would this make things worse. Yeah. So how am I reinforcing how this could make this better, the why this could make this better, how it's going to make things better, and that I'm not just trying to solve it by myself, but I'm inviting them in to solve that. And that looks like constant communication. So communicate. I do a 15-minute stand-up with my entire organization every single week. Yeah. It's a great way for me to tell them what's going on, answer any top questions that are, top of mind for them, and make sure that I have that connective tissue. I also think it's really important to give clarity. During a time of change, people need to understand, well, what is your vision? What does success look like? So I'm very clear with my team. AI is in service of us, but we are not driven by AI. Humans are still driving. We're using AI. AI is augmenting, not replacing. But we are bullish on AI, but it's an augmentation. Being clear on that, making sure that we have that North Star up front, I think is really important. And then the last thing I'll just say is creating psychological safety, right? During times of change, you need to make sure that your team feel comfortable to try new things, to experiment, to learn, to fail. And creating that psychological safety is important.
You as a leader operate with a lot of energy and conviction. And what I'm most interested in is the excitement going forward. Where's that coming from?
So I'm really excited about how humans are going to be utilizing AI to inspire more creativity. And it's interesting because a lot of times people think, oh, AI is going to replace humans. Actually, I think that the best creative ideas are going to come with humans in charge driving it, with having utilized AI as an augmentation tool. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about seeing the level of creativity go up. And creativity is going to be more important than ever because there's going to be AI slop. So the folks that are just not differentiating themselves, not taking any real risk, just doing what everyone else is doing, it's going to become very uninteresting. And so I'm excited about the creatives who are going to get down, do the work, and use this to be a real differentiator for their brands and businesses.
Yeah, you bring up AI slop and you feel it. I think I feel it on a day-to-day basis where the winners are going to be the individuals that can cut through that clutter. So I couldn't agree more with you.
Taste is going to be, it's almost like people are going to be increasingly paid a lot of money for taste. And that taste is going to be the human taste and the human authenticity. I think that is going to be more important than ever. And I'm excited about that because there's nothing more exciting than creative, authentic humans.
Yeah. Well, last question, because I know you've got a busy day, but I want to know, what's one practice or habit that has had an outsized impact on your career that you've taken on?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say a habit that has had outsized impact on my career is reminding myself that it's not, I don't treat people how I would want to be treated. I treat them how they want to be treated. Yeah. And there's a very big difference, because I think a lot of times, like, treat people how you want to be. No, someone might, like I remember I had a boss who his wife used to say, he hires football players and Dara. Like I'm tough. I'm like, bring it on. Not everybody wants that, right? Some people want, you to be a little bit softer when you deliver feedback to them. So it's about learning what matters most to the people on my team. And I think as a leader, the onus is on me. Yeah. The onus is not on my team. The onus is on me to adapt my style to be the leader that they deserve. Because I think leadership is one of the greatest privileges. And to me, being a good leader is being a good servant. And so the onus is on me to adapt my style to serve the people that I have the privilege to be on a team with.
Well, Dara, thank you so much for your time. I've learned so much from you, being one of the most respected marketing leaders out there right now. And so enjoy the rest of CES.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to get to chat with you. Appreciate it.